First of our vocabulary terms is federalism. Federalism, it's an ism, so we always want to think of those as a governmental system or a way of doing business. And with federalism, you've got a strong central government. Below that, the states, and the states have less power than the federal government. Then you have, sometimes states are divided up into, in America, we divide them up into counties. Sometimes counties have towns within them, and all those are lower forms of government. But the power in a federal system belongs at the federal government level. Second one is enumerated powers. Those are the powers that are very simply, they are listed out in the Constitution. 18 of them, don't need to know that. Those, therefore, since they're listed in the Constitution, can only be done by the federal government. Reserve powers is that next one. If it's not granted to the federal government, we want to keep the government small. So if it's not on that list of 18 things, then the states or the people get to do that. And the Constitution says states or people respectively, in that order. States first, then the people get to do the power. The concurrent powers are not exactly enumerated. They're not exactly reserved. They're the powers that each gets to do. Federal government and states each get to do those things. They both get to tax you. They both build roads and bridges. They both can make laws, although the laws are different and would apply differently. And then they both can enforce their own laws. The next one, checks and balances. Always think of it as within those three branches of government. Executive branch is the president. Legislative branch is Congress. Judicial branch is the Supreme Court and the lower courts. When they fight with each other, anything that they do within the rules to stop another branch from exerting too much power is what we would call checks and balances. It's not the same as when the federal government tells the states to do something. That's just a separation of powers. That's just federalism, levels of government. It's when one branch fights with another branch. So things like impeachment, things like vetoing a law, things like throwing out a law, which of course then leads us on to judicial review. Judicial review is when the Supreme Court can declare anything that the president does, an executive order, or can declare a law that the Congress has passed and the president has signed unconstitutional. It says that the Constitution does not agree with these, and so they get to throw out either executive orders or laws as unconstitutional. That's judicial review. Then, let's see, we've got power of the purse. It is one of the ways that Congress has more power than the other two branches. Congress gets to control the money. So the House and the Senate passes bills that allows money to be spent. If they don't want something to happen, then they don't pay for it. And if they don't pay for it, then it doesn't happen. And so that's power of the purse. Our final term is impeachment. It means kind of two things at the same time. The literal meaning is when the House charges a president with a crime. So Donald Trump has been impeached 2 times. The House brought the charge. It means that whole process. And so the House brings the charge. Then the Senate, in order to remove a president from office, the Senate conducts a trial with the Supreme Court's Chief Justice presiding as the judge. So it actually brings in both of those other branches. So it's a check, but the literal meaning is when the House brings the charge, we call that impeachment. But that whole process of charging the president and then conducting the trial to see if we're going to remove him or not is also called impeachment. So they really are 2 different ways that they have the same term that means 2 different things.